Nami, Karma, a lot of these enchanters coming through, and a lot of the time it's LYON playing them. So they're saying, you know what, you can't play enchanter, you can't play this scaling thing, let's try to push you off it, put Isles on an engaged champ where maybe Vulcan feels he can outperform.
Okay, let's see how it goes then, because Pantheon and Varus, these two have been banned every single game so far this series. Both of them have always been first half of the draft, and that's not changing in Game 4.
Okay, so what about the Ryze Anivia question here? Looks like nobody's going to throw any mid lane bans with all of this focus elsewhere and all the fearless champions taken out. Those two definitely very, very high prow. Of course, the Anivia is a really good answer to the Ryze, so that's why nobody really jumping on it early.
It is interesting to me how far we've come as far as, you know, early on in the split, it was all about engaged champions. And we talked about this even at the beginning of the season on the dive, where the role quest to me made it so I think enchanters just are better, point blank period, because you get such an injection of gold, and enchanters scale way better than these tank supports. When you're on multiple items, they can truly change the game. And clearly in the finals, I mean, just look at the support champions played, right? You know, 4 out of the 6 are enchanters. We have double enchanter ban here in Game 4. And so we are being pushed towards that. APA going to be crapping this Ryze. And like you said, Kobe, we have to kind of expect that Anivia or potentially the Cassio to come out.
Exactly. The two kind of big answers. I think that Anivia is better and stronger with it. But you are very confident as a Cassiopeia player, and the rest of the team is like short range and kind of clumps, then it can always be a good kind of answer pick. Let's see which direction LYON want to go for, because Ryze gives you a lot of things.
That's a long way to travel. Shout out to you.
Yeah. Ryze gives you a lot of things. It gives you some good clump damage for team fights. It also gives you some side laning pressure to set up for rotating over to those fights. And LYON do opt to go for the Cassio angle into it, plus the Jarvan here, one of the primo jungle picks that can put pressure onto that Ryze.
Es ist schon so fucked, by the way, weil alle... Was spielst du jetzt im Jungle? Was spielst du? Welchen AD-Jungler spielst du jetzt? Wukong du musst Wukong spielen, aber das ist so fucking ass gegen Cassio. Es ist so bad. Oh.
And so now, okay, we get Vulcan Bard. This got banned out. I think it was second phase, though, last game.
Yep.
And so
Bard
now
is good.
is going to be able to play this. They target the enchanters. They ban those out. So I think they're really hoping that they are going to get a range versus melee support matchup and try to use that to abuse it, because such a strength of C9 in playoffs have been Sven and Vulcan creating these massive gold leads. That has not been the story today.
And they should have huge side lane pressure. Bard ults, like Bard could put so much pressure on people's flashes for side laning here. You already started out with the Ryze. You have the Bard on top of it now. And clearly, LYON are going front to back. You got a Scion, you're just laying down. And now you're going to do protection bans for top lane, pretty much guaranteed. You're going to be like Gwen or Fiora or whoever you're thinking about, trying to ban those out. And I'm expecting C9 might just continue throwing more support bans, really try to get an uneven matchup down there on the bot lane. They need to get Sven going. They haven't been able to do that so far.
Hat er nie gewonnen, nein.
At least that's what I'm expecting.
And the Scion also feels even better, considering just last game, Inspired played the Trundle. That's one of those typical picks that's really good into Scion to sap his mega tank stats, but just not possible anymore. Yeah, dude.
Ja, es stimmt. C9 wins if Blabber stops sprinting. Ja, es stimmt. Es stimmt.
You were right. Your brain was working correctly when it came to the ban predictions.
The voices, the worms, you know, they're telling me the right things.
Sometimes the worms know what they're talking about.
You gotta trust the worms on this one, Flowers.
Yeah, all right. I don't know if I'm gonna fully trust the worms, but I'm gonna trust the Gwen ban.
He's got worms in his head.
Hey, maybe the worms are grubs.
If it works, it works.
Well, the Gwen's banned away, but instead of going after more of the supports, it looks like C9's gonna target the other half of the bottom lane, remove the hyper carry Zeri from the pool.
Yeah, they're like, we know you're still gonna go for it. Look what they have. They've got a Scion frontline already with Cassio Jarvan. You're like, you are building your 5-on-5, and your name is Berserker.
Das kann die wollen, das ist insane, actually.
Berserker had about 70 pentakills on Zeri while he was on C9, so not going to be giving him that late on into this series.
And the last ban from LYON here will be the Sivir. And where does C9 want to go with the last one? Are we still looking at more AD carry?
I think it's more bot lane, whether it is AD carry or it is going to be support. I think C9 have identified that has been the issue. Their bot lane is struggling. They can't really get online. And APA and Blabber haven't been having a great series. So I think they are going to emphasize that. And you can see on the other side, it is the Sivir ban. So Sivir is being targeted. Rakan's being taken out. That obviously is supposed to be targeting the Xayah Rakan pairing. So you're taking out all these enchanters. So many of the common pairings are gone. We're going to have to see something new. There's no more champs for Sven left that he has played this far.
And there are some enchanters like, you know, Janna or Sona, but those are way less.
Ich mag die Comp von Line mehr.
If you go Kai'Sa, then we do have lots of scaling as well.
Gibt's irgendwas Meta-Shifting Neues? Nein.
Follow-up. This is much more follow from the back, you know, just open up, keep your range if they went the other angle, but I guess they're just hovering other options for the follow-up. And the
Poppy, was?
W, okay, maybe try to keep the Wukong at bay.
Yeah, and this is going to be a support Poppy, obviously. That does mean the 2v2 is going to be tough. I do think you are kind of seeding the 2v2 when you're going up against the Bard. Yes, you can have pretty good gank assist. You can try to get in there and make things happen. And you can see Berserker was hovering the 2 picks that they were kind of expecting. Smolder would be pretty hype. I actually feel like Smolder can be pretty good here.
Ja, okay. Der kann Meter mal. Ja, okay.
You know, does have front to back damage as well as some assistance for that dive with your ultimate coming over the top.
Okay.
And you should be stacking on a Poppy lane. Whatever you're pairing with the Poppy, you know, Smolder should be able to get some stacks.
This is also interesting because this is kind of like a page out of Keen's book. You're going for the Rek'Sai top, Rek'Sai into the Scion. This is something we saw a lot at Worlds. Rek'Sai has been nerfed a couple times since then. It was really this matchup where you wanted to super bully and try to slam home these advantages through your sustain, just constantly chipping and poking and pushing in. But if you do not do that, Rek'Sai is just worth so much less than the Scion later on, so you have to dominate the lane.
And Rek'Sai, Ryze both end up with a ton of health. Wukong ends up with plenty of health. And remember that Kai'Sa with Dusk and Dawn, once she evolves her Void Seeker, once that W goes...
I don't know. Line no damage, Line hat damage.
For landing it,
Line hat damage. Mal sehen, bin scared.
The remaining 2 plasma stacks, it's just W auto, boom, plasma detonator. The HP shred is serious on modern day Kai'Sa.
And Rek'Sai
So, was haben die gekriegt? Nein.
teams either. The W is really annoying for the tunnels.
Can't dig a hole.
It's very hard to take tunnels. You know, they're not very fast, and Poppy can always...
Mag beide Draftens besonders, ja.
Honestly, I think C9 are going to have to put some pressure on some side lanes with this. If they can get some advantages early and put that pressure like we talked about with Ryze and Bard ultimates, and if...
Aber von Rek'Sai, mein Rek'Sai ist gut. Aber Rek'Sai gegen Cassio ist schwierig.
That might be their way to you know, get their advantages and then move in towards the rotations.
So a little update, we are going to have to remake champ select and try to blast through that. So basically the players were on the wrong sides. So they were on the side of, like, in the old days, first pick. So I guess they were on the wrong side. It was kind of disjointed there. So are going to have to go back through that one more time to make sure that they are on the right side of the map. You know, not just first pick, last pick, but blue side, red.
Ja, Sign ist stark.
Is obviously changed this year with the
Aber wird in Lane so weit runtergehen, weil er einfach so viel schlechter ist als Lane noch.
Remake that. Let's talk about something we were talking about before we got into Champ Select anyway, which is Cloud9 cleaning up their early game. Now that we've seen the drafts, now that we see what both sides have, how do you think a clean Cloud9 early game looks in this game number 4 to take us to Silver Scrapes?
I think they've got pressure on top side, guaranteed with your Rek'Sai. Have your push up there to allow your jungle to move in and try and get some extra camps. Don't let Inspired scale off of you know, extra camp experience or anything. Steal away a few. And you should have pressure on the other side too. You know, get your Smolder stacking off this Poppy. So if they can win all of these lanes and have pressure that way, try and then take out the heart of LYON, Inspired. If you can get him behind, sometimes you can hope that their shot calling will get worse as a little bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I just want to see from C9 side, Blabber and APA have a more stable early game, right? You cannot be going so high risk, I think, in a game like this after 2 bad early games. LYON, of course, is going to try to do the opposite. They're going to try to emphasize this mid lane matchup with the Cassio for Saint. They're going to be trying to find a lot of early action potentially. You know, if Inspired finds the right angle, he can look for level 3s on Jarvan. Of course, there is a lot of risk there, but he can mix it up. He can try to go for these plays. They have a game to give, and they are on match point.
Yeah, and everybody is going to be kind of ignoring top lane. So everyone's going to have the same focus.
Scion versus Rek'Sai?
Yeah, including the top laners, so also be watching elsewhere.
Yeah, they're going to be watching the other side of the map. So everybody's going to have the same focus. So it's also going to be about marking enemies and keeping really good track of enemy jungle. You know, Wukong, you have a lot longer before you can have the impactful gank. You need your level 6 to bring the CC to the table. Yeah, you can bring some damage earlier, but generally you're going to favor some early plays with Jarvan, having more options for some of these ganks and for putting that pressure.
And I like the point you mentioned, obviously, that you can stack off this Poppy. It is such a difference maker. I played a lot of Smolder. You know, when you are playing against a melee champion that does not have snap engage, that is the most ideal champions to stack off of, right? When you're playing against range champions, you lose the trades. When you're playing against Blitz or Nautilus, you can't risk getting hooked. When you're playing against Poppy, Tom Kench, Braum, champions like this that are much less threatening on the hard engage, you walk forward, you get way more additional stacks. When you get the first 25, all of a sudden you're AoE stacking the wave. When you hit 125, all of a sudden you're stacking off the enemy players while you're hitting the wave. So, you know, it really does start to accelerate, and I do think that Sven here has been set up for success. C9 clearly came into this 4 bans towards bot lane, really want to do well in this 2v2, and I think the pressure is on Sven and Vulcan. They need to step up because your whole pick and ban strategy was to get you this kind of matchup. You gotta perform.
Wir gewinnen oder was? Wie lange Remake die?
The pressure on Vulcan's Bard is going to be there. Last year, remember, Busio's Bard was always the one that came up when we're talking about NA supports. Busio's Bard, obviously incredible, but Vulcan's was also really, really impressive. A 99 out of 100 is still really good. It's just if there's a 100, it's not the highest rate in the class, right? So that's what I want to see from Vulcan. I need to see a 99 on this Bard report card because these Tempered Fates need to be on point. The bindings, we got to be trapping champions together every single time. I want to see this pick have the effectiveness that Cloud9 drafted it for.
Lock in finals, and Cloud9 are being pushed to the brink, Flowers. They do have to perform right now if they want to push us to a game number 5. Synergy on the bottom.
Weiß nicht, ob ich die, also die Poppy ist so, naja. Also Lane werden die obviously wahrscheinlich einmal. Smaller ist schwach, right? Aber gut nach Sparrow.
We got the hot cocoa skin and we got the reindeer skin.
Yeah, I actually don't even remember what the Bard things are normally called because I just call them hot cocos because everyone uses that skin.
Yeah. What is the Skinergy looking like for Berserker and Isles? I didn't notice.
Well, we'll see that here in a little bit, but right now we have Kangas standing by for an interview with I Will Dominate.
Thank you very much, Dom. Backs against the wall here, and it's been fun following your journey with Blabber to junglers. What were you talking about with him between games?
Just creating stability in the early game. I feel like a lot of these games have had funny things happen early. There was an invade in where we invaded them in game number 2, and then in game number 3 they invaded us, and I feel like the games just felt kind of like off balance from the beginning. So for me personally, it's just been about control the game because
Sieht jetzt gerade schon, wie fuck das ist.
Stacking drakes like we had Soul in the last game. So LYON's a team that likes to play slow, and I feel like sometimes
Jetzt schon wieder fucked.
trying to aggress too much or like capitalize on it too much, and I think that if we are just happy with the wins that we're getting and we're opting into these types of games, I think we'll be fun.
Well, I see an invade here coming in from Inspired. Was this on your radar with you, Blabber, talking about going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that Inspired is smart about. He's really good at pathing. That's like his biggest strength, and I think that he's just the type of player where if he gets control of a game, he won't make a mistake. He won't like int the game at any moment, so we just have to be like comfortable with these types of trades.
All right, cool. Well, looks like we run into each other here. So thank you so much, John. We're going to throw back to the casters for the action.
Ist so sauer, ist so sauer, ist so sauer. Kann es nur nicht sagen.
Highlight 2 wards that are helping out with that.
Ja.
Was this mid lane ward?
Behind him.
Hold on, Inspired is already making the play happen.
Ist so sauer. Ja, das Game ist over. Also nicht over, aber das ist schon wieder so schlecht. Es ist schon wieder so fette Disadvantage. Ja, das I Will Dominate Assistant Coach von
use their trinket wards to get this extra jungle advantage of information for Inspired, which he then uses to split the map against the Smolder lane that, guess what? You built everything, all your hopes around here. So it's just really good team coordination. LYON using their trinket wards, you know, to then be able to go split the map, counter jungle into bot lane gank, and it is a beautiful opening here from LYON.
I mean, it's just a disaster already for Cloud9, let's be honest.
In 5. I'm gonna go. Can you go?
Yeah.
My E's in 3.
Yeah, go, go, go.
Look at bot maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Go bot, go bot.
I'm looking board, yeah.
Oh, you
give me
B?
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Really good.
I don't have a ward.
Yeah, and of course he's just predicting the flash there, so you know he's covering the other possibility, and they do get the kill.
And look at that. That is some proxying going on for Dokla. He's cleared out the wave, and he's just going to execute now and then go back to base. So he's saying, you know what? You drafted for this early game advantage. This is the best possible thing you can do as a Scion against Rek'Sai. You lose early, you lose all the trades, but you outscale so
Mata proxy, of course.
So great. You fight the minions, I'll fight the minions.
Ist ein smarter Proxy, stirbt halt bevor der Wukong quasi auf den zweiten Foot ist schlau.
Early jungle wards, because sometimes top laners can be stingy
Ist schlau.
with their trinket ward timers.
You were looking right at me. What's up with that?
Top laners. Well, you know, Flowers is a jungler. We're 2v1 up here.
Come on, buddy.
Sometimes those brushes are just a little too dark.
But yeah, Dokla took the time to invest the ward into the Krugs, and that gave Inspired full confidence for the bottom lane play.
Now he's got the confidence for the mid lane play as well. APA might live to see another day, but he loses half HP and the flash, so the pressure is still on.
I mean, everything is just going so well for LYON. You know, Cloud9 put their whole setup into getting this winning 2v2. They talk about, you know, Kangas is interviewing Dom, and Dom is talking about, yeah, we really want stability in the early game. As we're hearing that, Inspired is stealing away both of his camps, killing his bot lane that you drafted for the winning bot lane, and your top lane is getting proxied on, so Thanatos isn't even getting the winning matchup that you drafted for there either. So LYON strategically have just felt like they're on another level today.
Yeah, Inspired looking stable. Very, very stable in this series. And in the previous game, we did bring up the all-time head-to-head between Inspired and Blabber previous to this series, 6-1 in favor of Inspired.
How about that Inspired win rate all-time in NA? You know, quoting on 70% win rate. Has played with EG, with Fly, now with LYON.
59, weil ich mit Sam befreundet bin.
A bunch of first-team All-Pros. This guy is just making everyone he plays with better, and it is undeniable with how many comms listen-ins we have heard. People talk a lot about, yeah, Inspired makes team better, he's a good shot caller. We are listening to it. He is playing the whole team. He is telling them exactly what he wants from them, exactly how he wants them to play it out, and it is working.
Yeah, I gotta say, our production team has been smurfing it, getting a lot of the inside info for us.
Of production.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's funny, like talking about Inspired doing all this shot calling, kind of being the puppet master for everybody else on the team. Because the other person that comes to mind when I think about that, if you go back to the old school original roster of Cloud9, people always talked about Hyde and how he would do that type of shot calling for the whole team, how he would be the one masterminding all of the plans. And now, up against this modern iteration of C9, it's Inspired pulling all the strings.
I actually really love that point, because shot calling is something that I think, oh, Thanatos is going to look for a kill.
Yeah, forces a flash at least.
Yeah, going to be able to trade that flash. Dokla knew if he gets too low, you could be executed there.
Und so Luki einfach.
And getting incredibly low. Barrier has to be popped. Yeah, that hurts. I mean, Thanatos knows he needs to create action, right? This is just not a matchup you want to just farm in, but Dokla still has his TP and his ult, so, you know, he's just going to TP right back, be full health. And Thanatos wants the proxy, but does take a couple tower shots. He'll at least pull the wave, so it's going to stack and push towards.
Ja, Wave Bounce Back ist gut.
That is a
beide in C9 funktionieren.
Something that you love to see from top.
Ja, vielleicht, ja.
Wants the base, has no TP, so Doko's going to try to hunt and cancel that now.
Also ein KP reicht? Nee, 970 glaube ich.
Okay. Does at least cancel
Well
the
played
recall.
by both sides, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting though. Back to the shot calling point. I feel like that's something we used to talk about so much, you know, with High, with Aframu.
Stuck wie Sau, aber ich krieg halt, also ich verliere halt 4 LP mehr als ich gewinne.
And it is a point that Inspired, I think, is making a name for himself in the same way.
Okay, nice stun under the wall there from Vulcan. Plenty of CC onto Isles, but not enough to threaten anything lethal. Vulcan and APA now backing away from the Miasma. Inspired is nearby. The Jarvan and the Wukong, both junglers, level.
Ja, All-Pro für die LCS, Thanatos.
Made the early play in the bottom lane that
Thanatos Inspired.
Blabber has not fallen behind this game.
Saint.
Want to see if this Wukong can find ways to get involved himself now that he has the Cyclone unlocked.
Yeah, they do come
Schwierig.
for the
Botlane schwierig.
out there and grab the turret plate, but it costs a flash.
Ja, und Kraut, der fand ich jetzt bisher dieses Split noch nicht so gut. Also ist ja die Frage, Sven Vulcan oder Berserker Vulcan, ich weiß nicht. Oder nimmst du Kraut als Support, ich weiß nicht. Gute Nacht selber. Gute Nacht. Es gibt keine andere Option, Guys, wenn du den zweiten nicht bekommst, so. Wenn du den zweiten nicht bekommst, gibt es keine andere Option. Das ist halt so. So, da müssen wir jetzt nicht drum herum reden. Also, ich finde den Insane, die Mauswahl schlecht. Deutlich schlechter als die anderen Optionen, ja. Er ist horrible. Aber er ist halt nur horrible, wenn er wird halt nur exposed, wenn er gegen Inspired spielt, right? Also, er wird halt legit gedaddied von ihm jedes Game. Das kommt Dawn auf ihm, ist läuft for fun. Das läuft for fun.
Oh, that ward by mid lane just drops. So now he can sneak through a little bit.
And there's no flash on APA, so they were looking to see if there's an angle. APA
push mid for contest now.
Back though, so he's just going to get the push, be able to move over towards that skull, towards the dragon. And it's a good look towards APA, but this time not going to get caught without that flash.
And I like you can see there, as Inspired approaches the banana brush, he
Bruder,
just
was machst
immediately
du?
drops Golden Aegis just in case Blabber is waiting in that brush. He can slow him down and potentially set up a play as Sven is under pressure. Berserker here with a killer instinct. Mom roars through though, making sure Sven doesn't drop too low. Inspired, nice use of the Demacian standard to interrupt the recall from Blabber. Just kind of rock his tempo there a little bit. And now Inspired will begin the first Drake. Cloud Drake does a lot of DPS though, so generally if somebody else is in the neighborhood, that can get a bit dicey.
Yeah, I think LYON probably wanted a little bit more out of their attempt at Sven, because Sven held his flash. He just uses his ult in response. Inspired, though, is still sticking around by this dragon.
10. TP, aber...
His mid laner is...
I mean, er kann das machen, I guess,
I
aber...
think Cassio just pinging she wants to walk, so...
Yep. And Inspired, you know, he takes the blast cone over the wall because he knows he can just use the EQ to get back to safety. There's not really an opportunity to steal something away there. So C9's going to be happy taking that first Drake.
Yep, gonna be feeling good.
Ich weiß nicht, also ich glaube, es ist kein großer Unterschied zwischen EU und NA, aber... I don't know. Das ist so schwer einzuschätzen. Da würde ich auch First Stand einmal warten, diesmal. Letztes Jahr hatte ich meine festgesetzte Meinung mit FlyQuest, die habe ich diesmal nicht. Sind die alle nicht so überzeugend. Ich glaube, nimmt sich einfach nicht viel.
You need to be able to get back in on one of these carries. Find someone like Berserker and put pressure on him. That's the onus that is on you as the Rek'Sai, where Sion can kind of just walk forward and create space for the Cassio, and that's good enough.
Yeah, you look at Rek'Sai's skill set in big fights, and you're like, well, she doesn't die. Well, Sion also doesn't die, but he creates a ton of disruption and this just massive brick wall that nobody can get through. So Dokla set up in a good spot here.
Meanwhile, despite despite Vulcan dying in the earlier play with the jungle invade and wraparound bot, Sven is still stacking, and that was one of
Das ist dann das basically wie MSI, ein kleineres MSI.
Effectively, he has
Ein kleineres MSI.
at 10 minutes 45 seconds.
Dieses LPL-Niveau dieses Jahr ist echt nicht schlecht, honestly. Also wirklich, ich würde sagen schlechter als Genji of course, aber die sind... Teams dieses Jahr international besser Chance, weil das Early Makro so eingeschränkt wurde. Nee, aber das ist ja schlechter. Weil westliche Teams ja in Lane gefistet werden.
And we'll see how Sven can accelerate, because I think his pace is not super fast, but it's totally fine. It accelerates every time you get a new breakpoint, right? It's just easier and easier to stack. And once you get towards that Essence Reaver, you have infinite mana. You can constantly get higher and higher CDR and look to really ramp that up. So that's exactly what he's going to be trying to do. There's a lot of pressure on him as kind of one of those big, consistent damage dealers who's supposed to be built to deal with Dokla.
So one of the big differences in the current game state is items are fully completed for the
Ja, ist auch so in etwa so.
LYON, but not of C9.
Also ich würde sagen G2 und C9 Line würde ich gleich packen, aber ansonsten würde ich wahrscheinlich die Green, ja.
So these are some pretty big power spikes compared to just the components still in the inventories of their Cloud9 counterparts. Thank you, Isaac. The Kraken Slayer also done for Berserker's Kai'Sa compared to still...
Das Top 3 niedrig, Top 3 ist schwierig.
Smolder. So even LYON doesn't look like anything you're going to write home about.
Aber du kannst ja die Top 3 einfach die Teams, die wirklich Top 3 geplaced sind, nehmen dann. Und in China hast du dann halt Animals Legend, BLG und JDG. Einmal.
Sven and Vulcan staying close enough to their turret that LYON will not be able to finish off this kill.
Stacking a lot here with these fights. You know, they're scrapping over and over. And again, with the champion select here, we're thinking he's going to have a lot of stacks. Sven continues to keep it up.
And even in the team fights, in the 5v5s, there's 3 melee champs, right? So if you are having these standoffs where you can hit Qs on multiple members, Ws on multiple
Junja ist so gut, Honkyo ist ziemlich gut. Junja finde ich okay.
You can see Thanatos going to be constantly trying to heal up.
Aber Schauschuh ist echt ziemlich gut. Also er war ja letztes Jahr bei JDG schon so mit der most consistent Spieler und der ist echt gut. Der ist echt gut und dann... Und dann Vampire und Gala sind sehr gut.
Disadvantage compared to the other cheap Grievous component items where those you get to make the active decision. I will hit.
Kann G2 gegen LPL Teams gewinnen? Nein. I don't think so.
Thanatos is going to get another wave crashed into the turret as Blabber puts in the work here on the grubs. And I feel like normally we see whichever side Dragon loses out on the grubs.
G2s Stärke ist deren Early Game gewesen. Ich glaube, deren Mid- und Late Game Decisions sind so kinda whatever bis mediocre bis eher nicht so geil. Und ich glaube, das funktioniert halt nicht. Glaube ich nicht. Genau, Jason.
Training Force is expensive, but he does have it. So Wukong with Training Force completed, with Flash, with ult.
Bei dem Turnier kann Timon wieder mitspielen, aber frühestens MSI. Wenn du jetzt außerhalb der LCK meinst.
If the Monkey King can do it, because we're already getting different lane assignments, with Sven getting rotated into mid lane after his Essence Reaver completion.
EPA now.
Kann LPL gegen LCK gewinnen, gegen BFX definitiv, ja. Gegen Genji, schwierig. Cold Caps auch alles? Nee. Glaub nicht, nee.
Is going to be behind in that department as Isles and Berserker are still looking for more pressure onto the Tier 1 turret. They might just look to go for the dive flash into the tag.
Aber das ist so obvious, dass es passiert oder nicht. Bin ich also. Sorry, aber ist also. Das ist doch. Ja. Okay.
And they always do this, you know.
Okay.
He's always inspired that is trading. Yeah, Dragon is going to come up in a couple seconds, so they're already making the move up to the top side. Inspired didn't even get there in time.
Dann wissen wir, wer aus LPL fährt. Mittwoch wird der erste bestimmt zwischen BLG und JDG. Und dann am Freitagmorgen wird der zweite bestimmt. Oder nee, am Samstag. Samstag, glaube ich, ne? Freitag ist nicht. Am Samstag. Mittwoch und Samstag.
When APA took a lot of damage and lost Ghost, because to me that was where the mistake was. Blabber was already on the other side of the map. They were already going to be playing towards Dragon. You know you are weak side, and he was.
Ich bin Samstag jeden Tag LPL. Montag, Dienstag, Mittwoch, Donnerstag, dann Freitag nicht und dann Samstag, Sonntag.
The dive, there's not really anything he can do to survive that besides just not being there. But I feel like if he's at full health, he can maybe make something happen with that outplay.
C9 ist okay. Mein großes Problem ist, ich habe das Gefühl, die haben nicht wirklich eine gute Antwort auf Kaiser und Cassio. Das ist mein Problem.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. You know, you see them both. You're in their face, and almost 50% of his HP. He did have the potions running, so he obviously regained a little bit of that, but that was playing with fire.
Okay, the dive onto Dokla. The Scion is very tanky. Can C9 cut all the way through the health bar? Both Cyclones already used. Thanatos has to pop the ulti to drop the turret aggro. That is one of the strengths of the Rex side, being able to do that with the turret dives. Meanwhile, over in mid lane, LYON looking for some pressure of their own. Vulcan's Tempered Fate not going to find a target there, but it does buy enough time for Sven and Vulcan to survive.
And guess what? Where's Berserker? He's making money. Berserker on the bottom
Ich nö.
the bottom side of the map. Guess what? That's another.
Haben wir schon eine Schedule? Ja, ist schon geupdatet.
Yeah, that is such a problem for C9.
Ist schon geupdatet, ja.
1.6k ahead now. I mean, Sven has farmed well. Even on farm, you know, they died to that one gank, but so much gold going over to Berserker because of the dive top that gets a kill, then the tower bot that gets all of that additional gold in his pocket, and now he has the Kraken and the Rage Blade done. 2 items very quickly here for Berserker, plus the tier 2 boots already upgraded.
So now is the critical point, because you're dropping some objectives and you're giving them to Cloud9 in the early stages to try and get to these moments, these breakpoints, the actual completion of the items in these. Oh, brush camp.
Okay, APA, he smelled something afoot. He does detect it before the play gets made, as now Inspired takes a little bit of damage. Vulcan has to go on a magical journey, trying to get away, flashes away from Berserker.
Ich glaube, die haben keine Antwort. Ich glaube, die haben...
Not enough firepower from C9 to try to finish him off. Realm Warp is going to send Thanatos forward, but he immediately has to turn back around, tackle into the wall from the Poppy as Inspired.
Berserker hat noch Flash.
Who wants to look for Berserker? Damage from APA, but Berserker flashes out, and Blabber is going to be the only death here so far. The Rift Herald drives into Berserker, but it
Berserker ist tot oder nicht?
Vulcan hops out.
Oh mein Gott.
Kill, but he goes on a magical journey right back away as
Berserker lebt hier, das kann nicht sein.
It's an absolute madhouse.
Das ist so insane, ja, Lucky.
And only one dead on either side.
And the entire time, it was a 4v5. Wait, Saint's not done.
Oh mein Gott.
Just yet. Nice stun onto the minion.
Kann der einen Skillshot missen, bitte?
Thanatos still waiting, but he has almost no age.
Saints hat Flash.
Sven has arrived into the fight. The tempered fate from Vulcan locking up the
Was?
Cassiopeia
Geiler Q.
stun into the wall as Thanatos has the knockup and a killing spree. Sven
Okay.
gets inspired low, not low enough just yet.
Oh, Berserker kommt.
For the flash follow, Inspired wants to lock him down here with a cataclysm. C9 doing plenty of damage and Inspired dies.
Okay.
C9 are
Zion hat Ulti, schaut auf Zion.
Vulcan heard you talking about Busio Bard. What about the Vulcan Bard? He is going crazy.
Okay, Dokla's made his way in now, though. Berserker nearly kills Vulcan with a Kathian.
Are you serious? Kommen wir alle raus? Ne.
Sven instead, Dokla gets the shutdown, and Vulcan barely gets away. Thanatos using his network of tunnels like a pinball machine, and he gets
Okay.
out.
What a scramble! I mean, first we had Sion split pushing, so they
Gold even.
waylay with his ultimate. Let's take a look at the flank, though, from the Wukong. Look at the minimap at the moment.
Okay.
Back right now, Lion here, you see the channel on the Poppy ult. They knock back the Rise, or they knock back the Rek'Sai here, and then Rise will just realm warp him in. At the time that Blabber goes for this, he also summons that Herald.
Ich bin noch so skeptisch.
On the screen here, which Vulcan is then going to use to long chase this and knock up Berserker, who just got chunked. So you got Vulcan going through, you get some Rift Herald knockup damage. All of this, though, doesn't really result in anything for C9 until the follow-up play.
And critically, there was no Cyclone for Blabber on that flank because they used it on the dive way back when they killed Sion on the top side. So they were missing a lot of those critical tools.
And then that's the follow-up play, the chase down that results in Vulcan punishing them. He hit the Bard stun, he got the Bard tunnel.
This is the last time these Lion players won a tier 1 tourney. For some of them, it has been quite a long time. For some of them, it has been never. You know, Saint has never won a tier 1 tourney. Isles, last time he won was back in OPL in 2020. Dokla obviously winning a bit more recently, Inspired winning just last.
Also, in den Ton gefahren, das ist eine verdammt gute Frage.
These players, it has been a long time coming, and they are hungry for one of these wins.
Well, they're only one game away from taking
Immer noch keine Antwort auf die Kaiser in meinem Kopf.
to grab their first Drake of the game. They will stop C9 stacking towards Soul. And once again, fellas, this is the third game out of 4 where 20 minutes hits the clock and we're a couple hundred gold apart.
It is crazy how close this is. Inspired trying to change that as they are looking for Blabber, and Isles is behind him.
Now C9 reinforcing their lines. Sven fires the snot bubble in, just stacking up a little bit more. Flap, flap, flap's gonna do the same. He's at 100
Ein paar Stacks voll, ja, aber
stacks on the smolder, 26 away from that execute.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to highlight after that crazy long fight in the bot lane. Smolder is hitting you with ability after ability after ability. That is accelerating his stacking pace.
AD Bruiser, wo die
Before the
willst.
next dragon here. So that
Trojan,
is
ist es
when
Ist
you
es
really
Stripebacker
come
Trojan oder
online.
sowas?
You
Ich
get
weiß
that
nicht.
rapid fire in and you're 225, you can have these standoffs where you are just Q poking with rapid fire over and over and over and forcing them to be the ones to engage.
And his positioning will be critical. He does not have flash. If you get hit with a Jarvan EQ or Poppy flashes on you,
Das Spiel ist sehr knapp. Problem ist, dass Saint jetzt schon seinen Rod of Ages Block hat.
Save you.
not even Mom can save you. Sometimes she can.
210 stacks.
Stacks too. That helps out. We'll see.
Oh boy, Saint's gonna be your target here as he throws out the miasma.
Oh, die turn off die TP oder was?
Not close enough distance in time.
Double
this is
TP.
A lot of teleports. It's looking like a Christmas tree up here in top
Oh,
lane.
jetzt.
As C9 sends the whole crew. Vulcan arrived even with the Summoner Spellbook to make sure that he could join the fight. C9 continue backing away for now. They don't want to allow Lion to get any kind of a pincer attack.
Wirklich, so benutzen wir den? Wollte gerade sagen.
Now he's in danger.
Und GG.
Journey, but it ain't gonna happen. Make it a 2 for nothing.
Baron.
For Lion.
Man wird nur enttäuscht.
Baron is on the map. Disaster.
Man wird nur enttäuscht.
C9 and Lion find exactly what they wanted.
The CC team was perfect there. Isles finds the engage, and then Blabber tries to turn around for the re-engage.
Man wird
in
nur
the
enttäuscht.
miasma, and he gets hit by the miasma. He can't get out of that. Then he's hit by the petrifying gaze. He's stunned up. He's knocked down. C9's 3 members trying to make something happen here, but Inspired is just going to finish it. They're looking for Sven.
There's the Keeper's Verdict immediately with Killer Instinct right after it from Berserker, and Sven's falls. C9, another punish from Lion, another mistake from a C9 player results in another objective taken by Lion. That gold lead that didn't exist just a minute ago is now plus 3K for the Lion squad.
That is huge. I mean, C9, they're struggling. They're trying to look for something. Maybe we get distinct recall, stop someone in the aftermath, but they just can't. Isles here, he put that ward. He walks back and he waits for Dokla and Saint to be able to follow. And then immediately flashes onto Vulcan. Makes it look so easy. He's like, what are they doing walking against this wall? This is my territory. And Isles here starts it out. Wait a second, bottom.
Ich glaube, du kannst nicht gewinnen.
Now they want to look for Saint yet again, but a flash away from the cast.
Okay, guck mal.
For now, Dokla and Inspired ready to back up their mid laner as Thanatos is
So,
down.
potenzielles Szenario.
HP.
Alright.
Inspired re-engaging after the Rex.
Für Springsplit bekommt Lion statt Dokla, der meiner Meinung nach die Schwachstelle zusammen mit Alts ist, bekommen die noch
Slow everybody down. Realmort for safety. Blabber with the
Pulpo.
Cyclone means Inspired.
Dann kannst du abmelden. Das ist einfach so. Dann kannst du dieses ganze Jahr wieder abmelden.
They couldn't find the angle. Blabber cast the second Cyclone there.
Weil die einzige Schwachstelle
2 minutes on the clock until the Drake.
in meinem Kopf,
Skills being spent down.
wenn jetzt dieses direkte Matchup ist einfach Toplane. Das ist einfach so.
Biggest one being the
Right.
flash for both Saint and Inspired.
Exactly. Those missing flashes. So even though no one goes down, C9 do get out. They look for the
Und ja,
aggressive.
Alts gegen Vulcan vielleicht. Aber das ist einfach, guckt.
Playing that well with the tempered fate, being able to get his team out, exfiltrating the hot zone with the
Ja, Wukong gegen Casio habe ich ja gecallt im Draft. Ist bad.
Sven still very close to this third item here.
Ja, Bippo wird nicht in der spielen. Wir haben ja unsere Wette.
Fire, then you can poke. It kind of changes how you can actually play the game a little bit. Maybe then they can soften up the front line, and it won't be as threatening when they fully commit. The extra range goes a long way with this champion.
This one's another nail biter, boys.
Oh,
I love it. I'm loving every second of this
Wer
fight.
hat Lion das Geld? Ich habe tatsächlich keine Ahnung.
The best series of our
Ich habe actually keine Ahnung, woher die das Geld haben.
particularly
Yeah, it's
think
not
it's
close.
close.
Ich könnte es dir nicht sagen. Ich weiß nicht.
Yeah, this has just
Cloud9
been
was 3-0 in a lot of teams early on.
absolutely a
Saint
great
is so broken.
contest between these two. And C9 would love to take it to a game 5. C9, though, has got to get through a very fierce Lion squad. We've talked so much about how they've leveled up throughout playoffs, and I just have to reiterate it again. It was a team
Was ist die,
that I expected to need
was sind denn die Highlights der Woche dieses Jahr gewesen?
to find their
Nach der sind.
tempo. This
Also obviously G2KC.
And it seems like the little bit of a break they had between Swiss and playoffs was all the time they needed because they're looking clean.
I completely agree. I mean, I'll eat my humble pie on that one too. You know, I had
G2KC
lower than they're
hatten wir einen Ultra-Banger in der LPR. Wir hatten JDG Animals Legend, ne?
as well, but
Das ist wahrscheinlich noch, ne?
incredible.
Wahrscheinlich die als
We talked about how it's big
Highlights. G2KC und Animals Legend JDG.
C9 does not want to risk it here.
Und das war's, glaube ich. Ja, die war keine Highlight, ja, meine ich auch nicht.
Looks like they will not be able to
G2KC und
enemy jungle at the same time, but they're fine with that.
Crazy stat. So since Double Limb has been introduced in the LCS, a team from the lower
JDG.
never won.
Die waren DK war letzte Woche schon.
The first time that has happened. Lion here are on match point, are up 2K gold, are in a position to do something that has never been done in their league before.
And they are close. You can kind of feel it here, the tide turning in Lion's favor. Can Cloud9 pull out all the stops? They have to channel their energy now, hovering this Rise split push at the moment. You see Blabber here trying to hover for him. He does get visual.
Isles with the tackle into the wall.
Zweimal Ulti ist gut.
Exhausted, knocked up into the air by the keeper's verdict. Blabber's got to be careful trying to get away from this one, but Inspired chases after him with the dunk over the wall. That's Jungler down on the C9 side as Inspired gets
Sven ist stark.
Mom won't do a lot. Thanatos needs more.
Sven ist sehr, sehr stark.
But does not have it. The
Oh, ja.
SQ won't do it. The tunnel over the wall to try to escape. Thanatos on the run, but Berserker's
Oh,
got
ja.
killer instinct. Lions AD carries on a rampage.
You can hover the split push, but Lion just said
Wir warten hier nur auf die Schlachtung.
you right over. So many extra kills going through, and now they're blowing the game open. Berserker is solo pushing the bot wave afterwards. This Kaisa is a problem.
It is just so impressive how decisive they are being. Clearly the
Trikots in Pesos, guys.
we are going no matter what. It looked like
900 Pesos.
Is he really going to be able to stall
Das ist
enough?
sogar, also die Jerseys sind by the way sogar ziemlich billig, sind
Isles uses
$50.
this public exhaust.
Also es ist actually sogar ziemlich
He
billig.
knocks them up. He buys time for everyone to drive and to pile in, and all of a sudden, all of the Lion members are there.
Also noch weniger 1 Euro.
Lion are sent scattered to the winds.
Lion never hesitate because they're all on the same page. They're all listening to Inspired. We hear it so many times on every listen-in, every comm, and they immediately go
Und der
for
Split
it.
End into First, und die haben eine Woche.
Again. This gold lead is
Fast.
3K, so there are still rays of hope for Cloud9 if they can try and utilize, Bard ult, blow some flashes, try and cook something here. The rapid fire is done for Sven.
Kaiser fast Jay fertig.
Poke and earn them.
Problem ist, dass Sven so langsam ist. Also dass dieser Item-Bild halt so langsam ist.
That's very difficult.
Gold leads 3K and 2000 of
Wieso auf den nächsten Liga 30 Jahre? Ich finde den nicht schön.
his Kai'Sa build. Kai'Sa's one of those champions that can kind
Smaller Rise Late Game bin ich komplett krank. Ja.
and put it in her build. She has
Cassio Kaiser auch und die haben keine Antwort auf Kaiser.
Berserker's not going for really any of the AP options just besides the Ginsus this game, instead opting for more attack speed, opting for more damage, and it's because he has the ability to fire onto Thanatos and Blabber and APA, and he's jumping in again.
Oh Mann.
His target this time as the damage just pours through.
Die haben halt keinerlei Antwort auf die Kaiser.
C9 can barely knock Dokla below half HP. LYON just walking away with that free kill.
And this is the thing that makes the gold lead lie to you a little bit, is that Dokla is worth so much more than Thanatos at this point. On one side, Dokla is just absorbing all of the damage, forcing the flash out of Sven, and on the other, Thanatos is just getting killed off so quickly.
Dokla still alive for now, very low. Does not want to attempt too much more against the execute threshold of the Smolder, but LYON are sending everybody except for Dokla up towards the Baron pit. They know they've still got another 20 seconds before Thanatos is back alive, and even once he respawns, look at the teleport timer. It's in black and white, so it's hard to tell, but there's still
Das war jetzt LDA oder AI, sollte LDA gehen.
second death timer on it, so it's not possible for him to immediately join. APA's got to be careful here. Down to 60% HP, does not get tagged by the Void Seeker, and C9 walk it off.
Isles doing his best acting over there by the Baron. Come on in! You know,
We're hitting it, I promise.
We're for sure doing this! But despite the acting there, it doesn't actually bait Cloud9 in. I do want to take a moment, though, because Isles on this Poppy, so many snap engages have been really good for him. He was the one who actually got that plasma applied to Thanatos, the Rek'Sai on the top side of the fight, with another very quick engage on support. Poppy has been making lots of plays. And this is one of the players that is not a star on LYON. This is one of the players where everyone was like, oh yeah, they bought Inspired and Berserker back and Sync was already good. But Isles was kind of an afterthought. And he has definitely had a huge...
Muss er einfach noch gewinnen?
I mean, they have been winning this.
Da muss Heavy Lifting kommen vom Smaller. Erneut, die haben keine Antwort auf die Kaiser gerade. Und Sven hat keinen Flash. Ja, und Sven ist vor... Oh mein Gott, er hat den gekillt. Ja, er hat den gekillt, oder nicht? Ja. Er hat noch J. Ja, GG. Absolutes Gas, ich bin so sauer. Ihr checkt nicht, ich bin so sauer. Ich bin so sauer.
The Bartle from Vulcan catches Sven, and Dokla does not hesitate, flashes in, takes him out. LYON have done it.
LYON starting off strong here at the beginning of 2026. Their Swiss stage leveling up so much as they've made their way into playoffs. They had to run the gauntlet in finals weekend on Friday.
Die werden kein Split dieses Jahr gewinnen. C9, ich bin mir sicher, die werden kein Split gewinnen. Ja, jetzt beides obviously der Goat. Also müssen wir nicht drüber reden, er ist obviously der Goat, aber das ist disgusting. Ich bin so enttäuscht ich bin so enttäuscht. Ich bin so enttäuscht.